What's up guys? In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you a bunch of different tips and tricks to help improve visibility and see enemy players a lot easier. We'll be going over a bunch of different in-game settings and then a few things that we can do outside the game to help further increase the visibility. Real quick before I start the video, if this does help you, please consider leaving a like and a comment. It helps out a ton. But yeah, let's get into the video. First, I'm going to start over in the video settings. If you guys are struggling to see things, playing at your monitor's native resolution is always going to give you the best visual clarity. The game will be much more clear than if you were playing at a lower resolution or a stretched resolution, which do have their benefits. But next I want to talk about the resolution scaling method. The best one to use and the one that I'd recommend almost everybody use is TAAU at 100% resolution scale. Don't use Intel XeSS and also don't use DLSS. These both introduce significant ghosting and I'll show you what I mean by that now. So if you look closely at the dummies strafing left to right, you can see large amounts of ghosting and blurring going on, and this is on a pretty slow moving target. It's only going to get much worse with targets that are moving fast, and especially ones at a distance. They will become extremely hard to see, and a lot of times they can often just disappear on your screen. And this is what it looks like with DLAA, which is no upscaling. It's at the native resolution, just like TAAU. I'd say it's probably even worse than DLSS quality. And then just for reference, here's what TAAU at 100% resolution looks like. There's absolutely no ghosting or trailing left behind. Here's Intel XeSS quality, still a very significant amount of ghosting, so do not use this option. And then here's what AMD FSR2 at quality preset looks like. As you can see, there's no ghosting, there's no trailing. Everything looks very clear. So at the end of the day, the best two options are going to be AMD FSR2 quality and TAAU at 100% resolution scale. There are trade-offs with each of these. AMD FSR2 looks a little bit less aliased, but it also looks a little bit worse, and it's a little bit harder to see at distance because it is being upscaled from a lower resolution. TAAU is going to be a little bit more clear, especially at those longer distances than FSR2. But if you're extremely sensitive to anti-aliasing, you don't like the blurring and smudging that it introduces, then AMD FSR2 is probably going to be a better option for you. Next option, field of view. Make sure you have this all the way at 100. This will allow you to get the most visual information that you can while you're playing. Even the max FOV in this game 100 isn't too high, so you're not going to be suffering from that fisheye lens effect really. It's also going to make recoil feel like it's a little bit easier to control. It'll make you feel like you're moving a little bit faster. There's just so many benefits to having this turned all the way up. And then the next thing that I want to talk about are just some settings. The first thing I'm going to talk about is ray tracing. Now for the best performance and the highest FPS and lowest input delay, you want this on static. However, there is still use cases for turning this on, because when you have this setting turned on, it brightens up the inside of buildings and makes it way easier to see. But the downside is that this does come at a performance cost, so I'd recommend only turning this on if you have like a mid to high end GPU and you can sacrifice a few frames. This is what it looks like with it enabled. As you can see, it's pretty lit up in here. You can see fairly well. And then this is what it looks like with static. It's a little bit more dimly lit. It could potentially be harder to see people hiding in corners. The effect is even more exaggerated on the dark nighttime maps. And the difference from low to epic is just the speed at which the light fills in the room. So this is what it looks like with static, and I set it to low. As you can see, it kind of takes a second for all that light to fill the room, but this is what it looks like when I set it from static to epic. It's pretty much immediate. The effect isn't too noticeable. There's not that much of a difference. So if you guys do want to turn this on, just set it to dynamic low. A big one, make sure you have your effects set to low. This is what effects look like when it's set to epic. As you can see, there's just so much more going on. It's honestly very distracting to me with all the different reflections, all the different textures on the surface. So make sure this is set to low. A lot of the other settings don't really matter. You know, like foliage doesn't matter. It doesn't actually decrease the amount of foliage. It really doesn't do much at all. Textures have such a minor impact on the game. Post-processing on low could potentially make it easier to see in dark corners. And then same thing with shadows. Keeping this on low could potentially help you out a little bit. Couple more things for settings. Keep motion blur disabled and also keep lens distortion disabled. So now I'm going to head over to the gameplay tab, and this is another small one that you guys should already have on. Use enemy team colors. Keep this on. If this is off, every team will appear as one color. Make sure you guys have a good crosshair. I just have center dot radius 3, opacity on 100, outline with 1, a width of 1. You don't want your crosshair to be too fat, or you don't want your outline to be too fat, because then it's just almost going to be distracting. But this is what I like. You could also turn the dot up a little bit too, but I wouldn't go too high. As for colors, I really like this light blue color. I think light blue and green are very good in this game. I tested yellow a little bit and I didn't really like it the more that I used it because it blended into a lot of stuff, especially when it's desert on Vegas, and even white's not too bad, but I think blue and green is just a little bit better. Another thing, just turn subtitles off unless you really need them if you're hard of hearing or something. It just introduces more stuff on the screen that we don't really need. But yeah, that about covers it for all of the in-game settings. Now I'm going to show you guys how to actually sharpen up your game. So first thing that we're going to do is cover digital vibrance. Now the reason digital vibrance in this game is so good is that the colors are just kind of okay to begin with, but we can make them much better. It'll make things pop a lot more, and it'll make players a lot more easy to distinguish. Real quick before I get into the next part of the video, I want to talk to you guys about a sponsor that I've had for a very long time, and that's Skypad. I've been using a Skypad for over a couple of years now, and it's one of the reasons why I'm able to aim so well. Skypad makes the highest quality glass mouse pads on the market today. If you guys haven't used a glass mouse pad before, it's truly a unique experience. It's a very fast and free, consistent experience that will really take your aim to the next level. If you guys have been looking at something to maybe help take that next step to improving your aim and getting better, then a Skypad is going to be perfect for you. Using code complies at checkout will get you 10% off. You save yourself a little bit of money, and it also helps me out a little bit as well. If you're interested, links to all that will be down below. But yeah, that's it. Now let's get back to the video. So first, just go into your NVIDIA control panel, and for AMD users, you also have access to this setting in your AMD Adrenalin software. It's going to look a little bit different from this, but it's going to do the same thing. And personally, I like to play around 70% or so, but if you guys want more color, you could go all the way up to like 80, and then after you set it to what you want, you just hit apply, and then you're done with that. The next thing that I'm going to be showing you guys how to do is applying a sharpening filter over your game. If you guys go to your manage 3D settings, the very first option is going to be a sharpening option, but yours is probably going to look a little bit different than this. The default option uses GPU scaling, and it'll hit your FPS slightly, but the method that I'm going to be showing you will not hit your FPS at all, and it will not cause any input delay whatsoever. So just X out of your NVIDIA control panel for right now. In the description, I have a link to this file right here called sharpen.reg. All you need to do is download that, drag it to your desktop, or put it somewhere in a folder where you know it is. Every time that you run your drivers, you are going to have to run this registry file again. But after we do that, you just double click on it, hit run, hit yes, hit OK, go back into your NVIDIA control panel, and then you should have it look like this. It'll say image sharpening now. Go over to program settings, and then you guys probably won't have it right here, but you just want to hit add. If you guys have ran the game recently, it should pop up. It'll say the finals. However, if it doesn't, you want to hit browse, go to wherever your game is downloaded. And if you guys don't know where that is, it's really easy to find it. Just open up your Steam, right click the finals, go to manage and click browse local files, and then it'll bring up the folder. And then you just come up top, you just copy this, go back over here to the NVIDIA, and then just paste in that location up top. And it'll be this file right here, discovery.exe. You click that, click open, and then you add that to it, and then you're good. And then come down here to image sharpening and click that. Now, personally, I like to use anywhere from like 0.3 to 0.5. 0.3 or so is probably going to be the best for most people. This will help sharpen up your game a lot. It'll really lower that blurring effect from anti-aliasing, and this is a game saver for me. This just improves the overall visibility so much. Click OK, click apply, and then after that, you're done. Every time that you boot up the game, it's going to load up with that sharpening enabled, and I promise you guys, you're going to be able to see way better. And AMD users, you guys also have this setting available to you. It's going to look a little bit different, but there is a sharpening filter available for AMD, so I'd recommend turning that up a little bit and messing around with that. I wish I could demonstrate it for you guys, but I don't have an AMD card to do that. But yeah, that about covers it for this video. If any of this stuff helped you, if your game does look better, if it's easier to see people, let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss any helpful finals content in the future. Links to all my social medias are down below. But yeah, that's gonna be it from me. Like I said, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.